Your cat walks across your body in the middle of the night. It wakes you up, it feels random, and most people just roll over and go back to sleep. But behind that behavior there's something far more deliberate than most owners ever realize. It's one of the most direct messages your cat can send when the world goes quiet around them. And if you react the wrong way, which most owners do without knowing it, you may be sending completely the wrong signal back. Let's start with why they choose that exact moment in the first place. 1. They're making sure you're still alive. Why does your cat step directly on your chest, your throat, or your face? Of every possible spot they could land, why always there? Because that's precisely where the signs of life are most detectable. Your cat isn't wandering aimlessly. They're running a check on you. In the wild, lying next to an animal that has gone completely still is a genuine warning sign. So when your cat steps onto your chest and feels it rise and fall, or moves close to your face and feels the warmth of your breath, they're confirming one specific thing. You're still here. And there's a reason this happens at night rather than during the day. When the house goes dark, the visual cues your cat normally relies on disappear. You've stopped moving. You've stopped talking. You're not reacting to anything around you. From their perspective, you've essentially gone offline, and they come to verify that everything is still okay. But here's what might genuinely surprise you. There's a much deeper reason your cat keeps choosing you as their destination at 3 in the morning, and it connects all the way back to the very earliest days of their life. I'll save that one for last, because once you hear it, you'll never see these nighttime visits the same way again. 2. They're quietly claiming you as theirs. Why doesn't your cat just sit beside you? Why do they have to physically walk across your entire body like you're a path they need to follow? Here's what's actually going on beneath the surface. Your cat has scent glands embedded in the pads of their paws. Every step they take across your skin, your clothing, your blanket, they're depositing a chemical signature that's completely undetectable to you but communicates clear ownership to every other animal sharing your space. And this isn't random. This is biology operating exactly as it was designed to. Think about your day from your cat's point of view. You showered. You went outside. You touched other surfaces, other people, maybe other animals. By the time you climb into bed, whatever scent your cat left on you the night before has been almost entirely erased. So they renew it. They walk across you, press their paws into you, and essentially re-establish their claim, all over again. Research from the University of Lincoln found that cats living in multi-pet households perform this behavior significantly more often than cats in single-pet homes. When there's competition nearby, marking becomes urgent rather than optional. So the next time your cat paces across your chest at 2 in the morning, they're not being thoughtless. They're renewing something important. And if your cat just earned a bit more respect from you tonight, hit like and subscribe so we can reach more owners who have no idea what their cat is really doing in the dark. 3. They heard something you completely missed. Have you ever been deep in sleep and felt your cat suddenly stand up on your chest with no warning at all? Wide eyes locked on the doorway like something is about to come through? That's not anxiety. That's your cat responding to something real that you simply cannot hear. Cats can detect sound frequencies up to around 64,000 Hz. The human hearing range cuts off at roughly 20,000. That means your cat is processing an entire layer of sound that exists completely outside your awareness. A pipe contracting inside the wall. A small animal moving through the yard 2 houses over. The refrigerator compressor cycling on in the next room. You slept through every one of them. Your cat didn't. And here's what makes it interesting. When something catches their attention, their instinct isn't to retreat and hide. It's to move to the highest, most secure point available, and assess from there. At night, in your bedroom, that point is you. You're the most elevated, warmest, most familiar surface in the room. A study in animal cognition found that cats can distinguish between familiar and unfamiliar sounds even while in a resting state. They are never fully switched off. Even when they appear completely asleep beside you, part of their brain is still scanning the environment. You just can't see it happening. 4. You are the warmest thing in the room. Why does your cat always end up on the warmest part of your body? Not beside you, not near you, but directly on top of you, in the exact spot radiating the most heat. This one is pure biology. A cat's resting body temperature sits between 38 and 39 degrees Celsius, slightly higher than yours. That means they lose body heat more quickly, particularly at night when the house cools and there's no sunlight available to absorb. So they locate the next best source. And that source is you. But what most people don't realize is that the process isn't random. That slow walk across your legs, the pause at your stomach, the shift up to your chest before they finally settle, that whole sequence that feels aimless is actually a thermal scan. Your cat is reading temperature differences through the pads of their paws, comparing zones until they find the warmest one. This is why they tend to favor your chest or your lap over your feet or your legs. Your core produces the most consistent heat, and your cat worked that out a long time ago. You'll also notice this becomes more frequent in colder months. Not because your cat's feelings have intensified in winter, but because the gap between the room temperature and their body temperature widens, and you become even more valuable as a source of warmth. 5. They have an agenda, and you're part of it. Have you ever noticed your cat doesn't just walk across you and settle? They walk across you, then position themselves near your face, then begin purring directly into your ear, then bat at your hand until ignoring them becomes genuinely impossible? That's not random affection. That's a coordinated campaign. Cats are crepuscular by nature, meaning their bodies are biologically primed for peak activity at dawn and dusk. So while you're in the deepest part of your sleep cycle around 5 in the morning, your cat is entering their most alert and energized phase of the day. They're awake, they're ready, and they have things they want from you. That agenda typically comes down to one of two things. The first is food. Cats have remarkably precise internal clocks. If you feed them at a consistent time each morning, their body begins anticipating it well in advance. A study from the University of Zurich found that cats can predict feeding times with accuracy down to a 15-minute window. When your cat starts their campaign at 5:45 and breakfast usually happens at 6 o'clock, that's not coincidence. That's forward planning. The second is understimulation. If your cat hasn't burned through enough energy during the day, that stored energy activates right around the time you're most deeply asleep. And they do what any intelligent, understimulated animal would do. They go and bother the one creature in the household who can fix it. Here's where most owners make the mistake. If you get up and feed them or play with them every time this happens, you're not resolving the problem. You're teaching them that walking on your face at 5 in the morning reliably produces results. Once that connection forms in their mind, it becomes very difficult to undo. 6. To them, you feel like home, in the deepest sense possible. Remember at the start when I mentioned there's a deeper reason your cat keeps returning to you in the middle of the night? Something that traces all the way back to when they were a kitten? This is that reason. If your cat walks across you and then begins that slow, rhythmic pressing motion with their front paws, pushing in and out against your chest or your stomach, that behavior has a name most owners know: making biscuits. But what's actually happening beneath that behavior is one of the most emotionally significant things your cat ever does in your presence. When kittens are born, they knead rhythmically against their mother to stimulate milk. It's one of the very first learned behaviors of their lives, and it's inseparable from feelings of safety, warmth, and comfort. That behavior never fully disappears. It stays embedded in them throughout their entire life. So when your adult cat climbs onto you in the dark and begins kneading, their brain is revisiting the closest thing it has to its earliest memory of feeling completely safe. And the reason they're doing it on you specifically is because of what you represent to them in that moment. Your warmth, your breathing, the steady rhythm of your heartbeat beneath them. In that moment, you don't just feel familiar. You feel like the safest place they have ever known. You feel like home.